You wake up in the middle of the night, not because of a sound, but because of a weight. It is a dull, persistent throbbing that resides at the base of your neck, fanning out across your shoulder blades like an iron yoke. You have gone to the doctors, you have sought the massage therapist, you have applied the ointments of the world, and yet the ache remains. It is there when you drive, it is there when you sit at your desk, and it follows you into your dreams. The Watchman tells you today, that is not merely a knot in your muscle. It is not just the result of poor posture or the mechanical strain of your daily labor. That ache is a language. It is the voice of your soul, crying out from the prison of your anatomy. Your shoulders are the pillars of your personal temple, and right now, those pillars are buckling under a weight they were never designed to carry. We must understand that the body is the final frontier of truth. When the mind lies to itself, and when the heart suppresses the agony of its own truth, the soul has no choice but to write its message in the flesh. You are carrying a cargo of shadows, a collection of spiritual stones that you have picked up along the road of your life, and you have mistaken them for your identity. This ache is an urgent telegram from the depths of your being, warning you that the structural integrity of your spirit is being compromised. If you do not learn to translate this pain, it will eventually silence you. We are not here to discuss physical therapy. We are here to discuss spiritual liberation. We are going to deconstruct the 5 urgent messages your soul is sending through that constant tension. Listen closely, for the sallow ache in your marrow knows more about your future than your conscious mind ever will. It is time to put down the burden before the burden breaks the man. To understand the message, you must understand the station. In the spiritual map of the human body, the shoulders represent the great girdle of responsibility. They are the bridge between the head, where the vision resides, and the arms, where the action takes place. They are the scaffolding of your will. When you take on a task, a role, or a duty, it is energetically placed upon these shoulders. In ancient depictions, the Titan Atlas was not shown holding the world in his hands. He held it on his shoulders. This is the archetype of the human condition. You are designed to carry the weight of your own purpose, but you are not a beast of burden for the entire universe. The ache you feel is the friction between the weights you should carry and the weights you stole from others. The Watchman observes that modern humanity has forgotten the art of energetic filtering. You walk through the marketplace of life, and you pick up the anxieties of your parents, the expectations of your culture, and the unhealed traumas of your ancestors, and you drape them over your shoulders like heavy furs. You do not even realize you are wearing them until the ache becomes unbearable. This tension is a spiritual static, a constant signal that you are out of alignment with your true design. Your shoulders are meant to be broad and free, capable of lifting your own spirit toward the divine. Instead, they have become rounded and hunched, as if you are trying to hide
from the very sky. This physical transformation is the outward sign of an inward collapse. We must look at the ghostly cargo you are hauling. We must ask, whose life are you actually living? Because the pain you feel is the soul's way of saying that the contract of carry you signed with the world is fraudulent. It is time to audit the weight.
The first urgent message your soul is sending through that persistent ache is this: you are carrying what does not belong to you. This is the message of the stolen burden. Many of you are fixers. You are the ones people turn to when their lives are in shambles. You are the emotional trash can for your friends, the silent martyr for your family, and the overworked engine of your workplace. You have been told that this is a virtue, that to carry the world is to be strong. But the soul knows no such virtue in self-destruction. This ache is the soul's refusal to participate in the Messiah complex. You are trying to save people who have no intention of saving themselves. And every time you step in to fix their chaos, their weight is transferred directly onto your trapezius muscles. This is a form of spiritual arrogance. By carrying the lessons that belong to others, you are robbing them of their own growth and robbing yourself of your own peace. The soul screams through the pain, "Put it down." You are not the architect of everyone's happiness. You are not the guardian of everyone's choices. This ache is a divine boundary manifested in the flesh. It is trying to force you to shrug, literally, to shrug off the expectations of a mother who was never satisfied, the demands of a boss who sees you as a machine, and the guilt of a sibling who refuses to grow up. When you carry a false responsibility, the weight is 10 times heavier than a natural one, because it has no spiritual fuel to support it. You are running on empty, using your own vital force to hold up someone else's sky. Look at the ache as a sensor. If it flares up when you say yes when you should have said no, it is telling you that you have just accepted another stone for your pile. You must learn the holy art of release. To heal the first message, you must embrace the sovereignty of the shoulders. This requires a radical reevaluation of your yes. Every time you agree to a commitment out of fear of rejection or a need for external validation, you are adding a physical layer of tension to your body. The soul is trying to teach you that no is a complete sentence and a spiritual shield. The ache on your shoulders is often the physical residue of unspoken truths. It is the weight of all the times you wanted to walk away, but stayed because you were afraid of being the bad guy. The Watchman asks you, why do you value the comfort of others more than the integrity of your own frame? You are sacrificing your health on the altar of pleasantry. This first message is a call to relational auditing.
You must walk through the halls of your life and identify the energy vampires who have hitched a ride on your back. These are the people who offer nothing but complaints and leave you feeling physically drained after every interaction. Their weight is what makes your shoulders feel like they are made of lead. The soul is demanding that you stand tall and shake them off. This is not cruelty, it is stewardship. You only have a limited amount of energy to fulfill your own divine mandate. If that energy is being consumed by the false cargo of others' drama, you will fail your own mission. The ache will not leave until the boundaries are set. It is time to realize that you can love people without carrying them. You can offer a hand without becoming a footstool. The moment you reclaim your shoulders for your own purpose, the iron yoke will begin to turn back into feathers.
The second urgent message vibrating through the nerves of your shoulders is the stone of the unresolved past. We often think that time heals all things, but the Watchman tells you that time is a deceptive thief. It does not erase the trauma, it merely buries it beneath the layers of your subconscious, where it calcifies and turns into spiritual bone. That knot between your shoulder blades, the one that feels like a permanent lump of cold lead, is the physical manifestation of a resentment you have refused to release. It is the person who betrayed you 10 years ago, the parent who failed to see you, the lover who discarded your heart like trash. You believe you have moved on because you no longer speak their name, but your body is still holding the trial. Your shoulders are hunched because they are still braced for a blow that was struck a decade ago. This is the message of the living ghost. Unforgiveness is not a passive state. It is an active, metabolic drain on your life force. It takes immense physical energy to hold a grudge in place. You are using the very muscles meant for your future to grip the ghosts of your history. The soul is screaming through the ache. Let the dead bury their dead. By holding on to the anger, you are not punishing the offender. You are merely carrying them on your back as a permanent passenger. You have become the beast of burden for your own pain. This second message is a demand for radical release. The ache will persist as long as you demand justice from a world that has moved on. You must realize that forgiveness is not an act of mercy for the other person. It is a surgical act of self-preservation. It is the only way to drop the stones. Until you open your hands and let the past fall to the earth, your shoulders will remain the graveyard of your own history. Closely tied to the weight of others is the weight of self-condemnation. This is the internal side of the second message. While resentment carries the weight of others' sins, regret carries the weight of your own. Your shoulders are heavy because you are constantly looking backward, replaying the should-haves and the could-haves in the theater of your mind. Every time you revisit a past failure with the intent of shaming yourself, you add a brick to the wall you are carrying. The soul recognizes that regret is a useless friction.
It produces heat, the fire of shame, but it produces no movement. This heat is what you feel as the burning sensation in your neck and upper back. It is the soul trying to incinerate the past, but you keep feeding the flames with your own thoughts. The Watchman observes that many of you walk with a spiritual hunch because you are trying to minimize the space you occupy in the world as a form of self-punishment. You feel that you do not deserve to stand tall because of the mistakes you made. But the body was not built for the past. It was built for the unfolding moment. This ache is a divine correction, trying to pull your head back into the present. You cannot see the horizon when your eyes are fixed on the dust of yesterday. To heal this part of the ache, you must grant yourself the same grace you so desperately want from others. You must realize that the person who made those mistakes no longer exists. They have been burned away by the very pain you are feeling now. Release the ghost of who you were so that the person you are becoming can finally breathe. Your shoulders were meant to be the wings of your aspiration, not the anchors of your shame.
The third urgent message that locks your neck and freezes your movement is the falsity of control. This is the burden of the universal architect. You feel a constant need to manage the outcome of every situation. You worry about the economy. You worry about the health of your loved ones. You worry about the stability of your future. And you believe subconsciously that if you just hold enough tension in your body, you can prevent the world from collapsing. Your shoulders are up near your ears because you are in a permanent startle response. You are braced for a catastrophe that has not yet arrived. This is the spiritual obstacle of deep mistrust. You do not trust the flow of life. You do not trust the divine timing. And you certainly do not trust yourself to handle whatever comes. The soul is sending this ache to tell you that your grip is too tight. You are trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more the tension radiates through your cervical spine. This ache is the soul's way of mocking the ego's desire for certainty. It says, see, your tension changes nothing in the world. It only destroys the temple of your body. The Watchman sees that you have mistaken vigilance for control. True vigilance is a state of relaxed awareness, like a leopard in the tall grass. But your state is one of hysterical rigidity. You are a statue of fear, and a statue eventually cracks under its own weight. This third message demands that you surrender the script. You must learn to fall into the arms of the divine. The ache is a signal that you have stepped out of the flow of grace and into the desert of self-reliance. You were never meant to hold up the sky. That is the work of a power much greater than yours. When you finally listen to the third message, you begin the process of somatic decoupling. This means separating your sense of safety from your level of tension. You have conditioned your brain to believe that tension equals safety, but the Watchman tells you that relaxation equals power. A tense muscle is a slow muscle.
A tense spirit is a blind spirit. The ache on your shoulders is the soul's attempt to break your false armor. You have built a shell of muscle and bone to protect your heart from the world, but that shell has become your prison. It prevents you from feeling the very love and support that would allow you to let go. You are starving for help, yet you are braced to reject it. To resolve this third layer of pain, you must practice the art of the exhale. You must consciously drop your shoulders and realize that the world does not fall apart when you relax. This is a profound spiritual exercise. It is the physical manifestation of faith. To relax in the middle of a storm is the ultimate sign of authority. The ache is trying to force you into this realization by making the bracing too painful to continue. Eventually, the pain will become so great that you will have no choice but to surrender. Why wait for the collapse? You can choose to step out of the control room today. You can choose to be a guest in the universe rather than its weary manager. As you let go of the need to know, the fire in your nerves will begin to cool. Your shoulders will finally descend from their defensive height, and you will discover that the sky stays up all by itself without a single ounce of your effort. The fourth urgent message radiating through the muscles of your neck and upper back is the burden of the mask. This is the message of repressed authenticity. You are carrying the weight of a person you were never meant to be. Every day, you put on a costume of professional composure, or the mask of the perfect spouse, or the veneer of the strong leader, while the true version of yourself, the one with wild dreams, raw emotions, and a unique creative fire, is being crushed underneath. Your shoulders are heavy because you are holding up a facade that is contrary to your soul's blueprint. The Watchman tells you, the soul does not tolerate lies for long. It will eventually use the body to sabotage the deception. That ache is the soul trying to crack the shell of your false identity. Think of the physical act of suppressing a scream or holding back a flood of tears. It requires the tightening of the jaw, the locking of the neck, and the bracing of the shoulders. Many of you have been living in this state of internal suppression for decades. You have swallowed your truth so many times that it has turned into a stone in your gut, and your shoulders are straining to keep it hidden. The fourth message is a demand for radical honesty. The soul is screaming, "Stop performing." The tension you feel is the friction between your social self and your essential self. They are pulling in opposite directions, and your trapezius muscles are the rope in this tug of war. The ache will not dissolve through a massage. It will only dissolve through the courage to be seen as you truly are. You are exhausted not because you are working too hard, but because you are pretending too hard. This fourth message also speaks to the unexpressed genius that resides within you. In the spiritual anatomy, the area between the shoulders and the throat is the gateway of expression. It is the bridge through which your internal vision travels to become external reality. When you deny your creative impulses, whether they be art, business, or the simple expression of your unique perspective, you create a spiritual logjam at the base of your neck. The energy has nowhere to go, so it backflows into the shoulders, where it stagnates and turns into chronic pain. You are literally stiff-necked because you refuse to look in the direction of your own calling. You are afraid of what people will think if you finally speak your truth or chase that irrational dream. The Watchman observes that the modern world is a graveyard of unlived lives. We are taught to be reasonable and practical, but the soul is neither. The soul is a fire that must burn, and if you do not give it a hearth through your self-expression, it will burn the house down from the inside. This ache is the smoke from that internal fire. You must ask yourself, what am I not saying? What am I not doing that I know I was born to do? Every time you silence your intuition to please the crowd, you add another layer of armor to your shoulders. This armor is not protecting you, it is paralyzing you. To heal this layer of the ache, you must begin to speak your unfiltered truth. You must start creating without the need for permission. The moment you begin to align your outward actions with your inward truth, the gateway of expression will open, and the pressure on your shoulders will begin to vent like steam from a kettle.
The fifth and final urgent message is perhaps the most difficult to perceive, for it does not originate with you. It is the legacy of the bloodline. This is the message of the ancestral yoke. Many of you are carrying aches that were first felt by your grandfathers and grandmothers. You have inherited a physical posture of survival that has been passed down through the DNA like a family heirloom. If your ancestors lived through famine, war, or systemic oppression, they survived by staying small, by bracing for impact, and by carrying the heavy burdens of their people. This vibration of struggle is etched into your nervous system. You are carrying a ghost weight of tragedies you never personally experienced, yet your shoulders are hunched as if the sky is still falling. The soul is sending this ache to tell you that the debt is paid. You are the one in the lineage who has been chosen to break the circuit. You do not honor your ancestors by repeating their suffering. You honor them by finishing the cycle and standing tall. The Watchman sees that you are subconsciously trying to carry the cross for your entire family tree, hoping that if you suffer enough, the past will be redeemed. But this is a spiritual fallacy. You cannot heal the past by being a victim in the present. This fifth message is a call for lineage liberation. You must consciously and verbally renounce the weights that were handed to you. You must say to the ghosts of your history, I thank you for my life, but I will not carry your sorrow in my bones.
This is the moment where you step out of the family shadow and into the light of your own sovereignty.
To fully resolve the fifth message, you must confront the seduction of victimhood. There is a strange, dark comfort in the ache. It gives you a reason to be tired. It gives you an excuse to fail. It makes you feel noble in your suffering. This is the martyr's trap. Your shoulders are heavy because you have built your entire identity around the idea of being a carrier. If you were to drop the weight tomorrow, who would you be? The fear of that emptiness, the fear of true freedom, is what keeps the muscles locked. The soul is using the pain to drive you past this fear. It is making the victim state so agonizing that you are forced to choose sovereignty instead. The Watchman tells you that true power is found in the lightness of being. Look at the masters, the saints, and the truly free spirits of history. They all have one thing in common: a sense of unburdened space around their shoulders. They have realized that the only weight worth carrying is the light of purpose. Everything else is baggage. To overcome the ancestral yoke, you must perform an act of spiritual defiance. You must choose to be happy despite your history. You must choose to be free despite your DNA. This is the ultimate rebellion. The ache will persist until you stop looking for someone to blame for your pain and start looking for the strength to release it. You are the watchman of your own body. You have the authority to issue a decree of eviction to any energy that does not serve your highest good. Stand up, roll your shoulders back, and feel the centuries of sorrow falling away like dead leaves. We have identified the 5 messages, but identification is only the precursor to transformation. The 13th block is about the great release. You must understand that dropping a spiritual burden is not a mechanical movement. It is an act of the will. You cannot stretch your way out of a soul ache. You must will your way out of it. The Watchman observes that many people spend their lives in a state of perpetual preparation for letting go, but they never actually drop the weight. They talk about their trauma, they analyze their stress, they journal about their pain, but their shoulders remain up near their ears. Why? Because they are afraid of the vulnerability of lightness. When you have carried a shield for 20 years, being without it feels like nakedness. To initiate the great release, you must perform what the ancients called the shifting of the mantle. You must consciously visualize the iron yoke on your shoulders turning into liquid and flowing down into the earth. The earth can handle the weight. You cannot. This is a sacred exchange. You give the earth your lead, and in return you receive the stability of the rock. This release requires you to face the void of identity. If you are no longer the burden bearer, who are you? The soul answers, you are the light bearer. The pain you feel is the resistance of the old self dying to make room for the new. Do not fight the emptiness that follows the release. That emptiness is the sanctum of peace.
It is the space where your true purpose will finally have room to breathe.
Once the weight has been dropped, the area remains spiritually tender. The 14th block is about the sealing. Just as a physical wound must be bandaged, a spiritual release must be mihur len meleder, sealed. If you do not seal your shoulders with intent, you will subconsciously begin to pick up new stones within 48 hours. You are habituated to the weight. Your nervous system feels wrong without the familiar ache. The Watchman warns you. The world will try to test your new boundaries immediately. Someone will come to you with a crisis. An old guilt will whisper in your ear, or a work deadline will try to provoke the old bracing response. To seal your shoulders, you must establish a daily vigil of posture. This is not about standing straight for the sake of appearance. It is about standing in your authority. Every time you feel the slightest hint of that familiar tightening, you must issue a command of dissent. You tell your shoulders, you are no longer the altar for the world's sorrows. You are the wings of your own soul. You must learn to breathe into the blades. Imagine the breath flowing not just into your lungs, but into the very knots of your muscles, dissolving the memory of the weight. You are retraining your body to believe that it is safe to be relaxed. A sealed shoulder is a reflective surface. When others try to throw their burdens onto you, the energy simply slides off, finding no hook to catch upon. You have become spiritually slippery. You offer compassion, yes, but you no longer offer your skeleton as a storage unit for their chaos. The 15th block explores the paradox of the unburdened. The world tells you that gravity and weight are signs of importance, that a heavy person is a serious person. But in the Josephic and Watchman's logic, lightness is the ultimate sign of power. A light spirit can move faster, see further, and strike with more precision than one encumbered by the past. When your shoulders are free, your spiritual sight expands. This is because the neck is no longer restricted, and the blood flow to the brain is no longer hampered by the stranglehold of stress. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to hear the whisper of intuition that was previously drowned out by the scream of the ache. This lightness is your new default state. It is the state in which you were born before the world began to pile its expectations upon you. The Watchman sees you now not as a hunchback of history, but as a pillar of light. Your walk changes, your voice changes, even the way people interact with you changes. They sense that you are no longer a target for their drama. They sense a boundary of impenetrable peace. This is the true goal of this journey. It was never just about stopping the pain. It was about reclaiming the throne of your body.
The ache was the guardian of the gate, preventing you from moving forward until you were willing to leave the baggage behind. Now that the gate is open, you are free to walk into the destiny that has been waiting for you since the beginning of time.
We conclude this vigil with a final testament to the wisdom of the frame. Your shoulders have been your most faithful teachers. They bore the weight when you didn't know how to say no. They held the line when your heart was breaking. They carried the ghosts of your ancestors until you were strong enough to set them free. Do not hate the ache that led you here. Honor it as the messenger of the soul that refused to let you sleep in a lie. The journey is complete, but the Watchman's eye remains open. You are now the master of your own anatomy. As you move back into the world, remember that your verticality is your most sacred possession. Stand tall. Let your shoulders rest where the divine intended them to be, at ease, open, and ready. The constant ache has done its work. It has driven you to the point of total surrender, and in that surrender, you found your total sovereignty. The yoke is broken. The shadows have been cast down. You are no longer a beast of burden. You are a watchman of the high places. Breathe deep. Feel the space between your ears and your shoulders, and walk forward into the light. The weight is gone. The message is heard. The soul is home.